Hi again, and in this video I'm going to be focusing on the Android application. So basically I will show you the client library that allows you as a mobile application developer to generate those events and send them to the event service. So as usually the code can be found on the GitHub. So I created the test Android application that just allows me to trigger those events. It can be found at github.com artemkv kaboom-android-test-app. And let's look inside the code. So I have this Android Studio open, and I'm just going to start this project so that while it starts, I'm going to explain what is there. So I'm using the emulator for that. And here there are two things. There are two packages. One is the client library itself, and another package is your application. So the application is pretty simple. You just have one activity. So inside of the activity, what we want to do, we want to use the Kaboom client to report your launches and crashes. So if we go to the Kaboom client, this class is found in this com.kaboom report package. So typically you would have to download this package as a dependency from Maven Central, from Maven repository, but I didn't release this library as a Maven package. So I'm just I have it. It only exists in this application, and when I wanted to use it for my actual application, for the real one, I just copied the code over. So I would have to release it as a Maven dependency if I wanted really people to use it in real life. But this so most important class in this package is Kaboom client. This is a facade for the whole library. So it has several methods that allow you to do several things. So first, it allows you to configure your package. So pass the application code that you get from when you registered for the service. You get this application code, so you pass it here in the configure method. You can call report launch to actually report the start event. You can call the save crash info in case of the application crash. This method allows you to save that unhandled exception on a file system, and then you use report last saved crash to report that event to the service. So why these two methods? Why couldn't we just report that crash immediately? So, when your Android application crashes, actually the main thing it wants to do is to exit. And if you want at that point to report the event, you would have to send that data over the wire, and Android system requires you to do that asynchronously. And your asynchronous operation to happen, it needs the application to still stay in memory. So, but your application is really only thing it wants to do at that point is to exit. So instead of fighting against that and trying to overcomplicate things and just trigger, I don't know, background service or something, so I'm basically doing synchronously. I'm saving this crash info synchronously on a file system, and then when application restarts and when it's in a good state again, I'm checking if there is a last saved crash, and if there is, so I report it. So as Android application developer, you're supposed to do a couple of things. So first, in the onCreate method of your main activity, you have to configure your Kaboom client with your application code you get for your application. Then you call report launch. So this makes sure that you report that application has started, and that will internally generate the unique user identifier that will be used for that application for the lifetime of that application, that until it's uninstalled from that device. So you don't pass it here; it all happens internally. And if in case then you call report last saved crash, and in case there is a last saved crash, this method just going to report it. If there is no, if your application has exited previously successfully, there will be nothing to report, so this method will just exit. So to make sure you save this crash if it occurs, well, then you have to do a couple of things. So you have to override the extend application class, and here attach the default, attach your own handler as a default handler for uncode exceptions on the thread. So you're basically saying that if then any exception that is unhandled in this application, if it happens, so I want you to run it, to pass it to this my custom handler, and in that handler I'm going to call Kaboom client save crash info to save that information about that exception. And then I'm just saying, like, yeah, okay, now you can rethrow that original exception and let this actually allows the application to crash as it wanted. So that's basically the functionality of the library. So this Kaboom client, it relies on the orchestrator to do all those things. So the orchestrator's job is to verify that well, the event is saved successfully, and if it's saved or not, well, if it's saved, then we can report it. If we could report it, then we can remove that file with the saved exception. If we couldn't report it, we keep it, and so on. So it also has this generated unique user identifier. It has a bunch of things. It also has, if we go inside, it also has the URL. Well, this is the actual URL where the event service is hosted at. So yeah, and just to make sure that works, you would need to update a couple of things in your manifest. First of all, you have to request internet permission, so that allows you to send information over the wire. And here you link this custom my application class that we saw here to your application, so that this code that attaches your custom exception handler to the thread, it's actually triggered. So that's you need to add this to manifest to make sure that happens. So at this point, let's look at my application. So well, now it runs. So when it runs, it reported to launch. You can see it here. So in the log, so it reported to launch. And here is the button. If I click the button, that generates the exception. So let's try to generate that. So I'm clicking the button. You see the application crashes, and you actually, well, it suggests you, typically Android suggests you to reopen that app immediately. We reopen that. And when we reopen that, we should actually see, oh, well, in this case, we could not report launch. I don't know why is that, but why that is, but yeah, let's try that again. I generate exception, I reopen the application, and at this point it reported launch and reported crash. So something went wrong with there's probably some bug inside of this project that prevented me from sending this information in the first at the first attempt, but now you see that we successfully reported crash. And so that concludes this overview of this project. So hopefully see you in the next video, and bye.